All rise.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody out, and we're going to open our meeting with the recognizing Commissioner Stamps for the pledge.
Attention, salute, pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to join us in a moment of silence to honor and remember the lives lost and sacrifices made on September 11, 2001. This year marks the 24 years since the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Let us reflect on the courage and unity shown by our country in the face of tragedy and pay tribute to the countless individuals affected by this day and those that lost their lives. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to recognize Nathan Barrett from the Southern District Office for the opening prayer.
If you will, bow your heads. Lord, we want to thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the residents of Mississippi. We ask that you would lead us and guide us in the decisions that we make so that we can serve the residents efficiently and effectively. We ask for your blessings and your hand of protection. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. We'll start with the consent docket, item number 1, adoption of the proposed consent docket for September 2025 open meeting of the Commission. Do I have a motion to adopt the proposed consent docket?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, moving on to the energy agenda. Ms. Myrick, recognized to present item number 1, docket number 2025 UA 66.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, on July 21st, Cooperative Energy filed a petition for a certificate of public convenience and necessity, authorizing them to construct a 69 kV transmission line and a new 3-way 69 kV group-operated air brake switch to be built on new rights-of-way in George County. This project will serve as an upgrade to Cooperative Energy's present system. The purpose of the proposed electric transmission line facilities is to provide bulk electric transmission service to Cooperative Energy's member, Singing River Electric Cooperative, and to serve the existing North Lucedale substation from Cooperative Energy's transmission system. Currently, the North Lucedale substation is served by Mississippi Power, but it's within the service territories of Cooperative Energy and Singing River Electric. With the North Lucedale substation served by Mississippi Power, it's subject to Southern Company's transmission service and energy rates. Cooperative Energy has determined that the project will provide economic benefits to both Cooperative Energy and Singing River Electric through reduced transmission service expenditures. Also, the existing load has over 50 miles of line exposure between breaker substations, which can be reduced if served by Cooperative Energy's transmission system. The proposed project requires Cooperative Energy to construct approximately 2.8 miles of single circuit 69 kV transmission line between Cooperative Energy's existing line 34 and the North Lucedale substation. The design of the facilities is underway, and it's anticipated that construction shall commence within 12 months after Commission approval. The project is not in the immediate vicinity of any schools, churches, or other public assembly facilities. The project does require Cooperative Energy to obtain additional rights-of-way, for which Cooperative Energy will negotiate and purchase from private landowners. Cooperative Energy anticipates the amount of property affected is approximately 34 acres for all new transmission facilities. Affected property owners have not yet been notified, but at this time, Cooperative Energy does not anticipate eminent domain proceedings will be required. The estimated total cost of the project is approximately $2.5 million. Staff has reviewed the filing, issued data requests, and reviewed the company's responses. Interested parties were noticed, and there are no interveners. The company has requested a temporary waiver for filing completed engineering plans and specifications, and staff does not object to the temporary waiver. A breakdown of the cost estimate was reviewed for reasonableness, and no issues were noted. Staff agrees the transmission line facilities are needed to improve reliability and quality of service in the areas of George County. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the project.
Thank you, Ms. Myrick. Is there any impact to the ratepayer on this?
We don't have rate jurisdiction over the Electric Power
Okay.
Association.
Great, thanks. Any other questions?
Yes.
You recognize Commissioner Carr.
So, will Mississippi Power be rescinding those lines that are going in there now, or will they stay in place?
We're trying to get an answer on that, but it's my understanding, Ben Vance may be able to help us, but it's my understanding that they do not plan to take those out of service.
Ben, you recognized.
Ben Vance with Mississippi Power. Commissioner, I think at that substation, the only thing we have is a switch that we will be removing. There's no lines, there's not a tap, that's my understanding. In the event there is any infrastructure that's just there to serve that sub, we would remove that, but it's generally very small, very short, just a tap. But I think for the North Bluesdale, all we have is a switch that we'd be removing.
Okay.
Unless they know better.
Sean Stewart, Cooperative Energy. That is correct. There is an existing Mississippi Power line that runs right near the station, and so it's a very short line segment and a switch that would be removed. So pretty minimal assets that would be impacted by that.
Okay. One more question. When will work proceed after all the adjacent property owners? Will it start after they have been notified of what's?
Yes, Stephen Jackson, Cooperative Energy. Typically, wait till our practice has been we wait till we get the certificate or the go-ahead, and then at that point, that's when we exert our resources to start the survey process, to notify landowners. And we always give the commission a general idea of where our line's going to be. It's always Exhibit C in our petitions, but until we do the surveys and work with the landowners, we oftentimes will move it. But yes, sir, to answer your question, that's when we will begin that process.
Okay. Also, I know these are all concrete and steel poles.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. I'm good. Thank y'all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any more questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Excuse me. Do I
Second.
have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item 2. Ms. Myrick, you're recognized to present item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, on July 21st, Cooperative Energy filed a petition for a certificate of public convenience and necessity authorizing them to construct a 69 kV transmission line to be built on existing and new rights-of-way in Lamar and Forest counties. The purpose of the project is to improve reliability and quality of service in the areas of North and West Hattiesburg. The electric transmission line will provide loop service to 2 existing Cooperative Energy delivery points. The project will require constructing a total of approximately 6.2 miles of 69 kV transmission line between the existing West Hattiesburg substation owned by Pearl River Electric and the existing North Hattiesburg substation owned by Southern Pine Electric. The existing West Hattiesburg substation is currently served by approximately 1.8 miles of radial transmission feed, and the existing North Hattiesburg substation is currently served by Line 94, which consists of 3.6 miles of radial tap constructed in 1989. The majority of Line 94 crosses the Bowie River Basin, with a significant portion located between the Bowie River and the Canadian National Railroad. The location of the existing radial severely restricts access and impedes normal maintenance operations. So building the proposed line will provide an alternate loop feed to the North Hattiesburg substation and enhance service reliability of that delivery point. And additionally, the proposed line will provide an alternate service feed and enhance service for the hospital being served from the West Hattiesburg substation. The project will include rebuilding approximately 0.3 miles of transmission line within the existing rights-of-way and constructing approximately 5.9 miles of transmission line to be located on new rights-of-way. The new transmission facilities will affect approximately 72 acres. At this point in the project, the affected property owners have not been identified and therefore have not been notified. At this time, Cooperative Energy does not anticipate that eminent domain proceedings will be required for land acquisition. The design of the facility is underway, and construction is expected to begin within 12 months from the date of the commission approval. The West Hattiesburg Loop project has been submitted into the MISO MTEP process as a proposed project, but has not been studied. The project will be studied in MISO's MTEP 26 process and will be subsequently approved in December of 2026. The total estimated cost of this project is approximately $5.6 million. Staff has reviewed the filing, issued data requests, and reviewed the company's responses. Interested parties were noticed. There are no interveners. The company requested a temporary waiver for filing completed plans and specifications. Staff does not object to the temporary waiver. A breakdown of the cost estimate for the proposed facilities was reviewed for reasonableness, and no issues were noted. Staff agrees that the transmission facilities are necessary to provide sufficient capacity and improve reliability with the existing delivery points in West and North Hattiesburg. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the project.
Thank you for that explanation and for your work. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr, you
Same
recommend.
questions. Steel poles, concrete poles, and I also seen where this loop that's being proposed is going to enhance the service reliability. Correct?
That is correct, yes, sir. And yes, it will be constructed on steel or concrete poles. And yeah, this will greatly improve the reliability to two of our existing delivery points by connecting that loop feed.
Okay. Can you give me a general of the life of a concrete pole and a steel pole versus a Crisso pole or treated pole?
Sure.
The life expectancy on average. I just want people to understand the reason that we're going with steel and concrete is because of the life difference on the pole. The structure is a lot more viable in our community.
That's right, yeah. So concrete or steel pole, industry expectation for life is going to be 75 years or greater. With a wood pole product, that maybe with a, of course, there's a maintenance plan that involves even to extend the life up to possibly 50 years. But that is a continued maintenance that will require that. So much less maintenance on a concrete or steel pole, much stronger structures, and so we're able to have fewer structures in place, and also an added benefit from an engineering aspect.
So when you have a treated wood pole, you have to go out every, 5 to 10 years to check for the rotting, and so that cost is gone.
That's right. Yeah, we're on a 4 or 8 year cycle where we're visiting each wood pole for during that duration, and then that pole has to be treated it's inspected, then also treated to try to extend its life and preserve the pole.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Do you have any more questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the proposed order?
So moved.
Hear a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to item number 3. Ms. Myrick, you're recognized to present item number 3, docket number 2025 UA 68.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, on July 21st, Mississippi Power Company and East Mississippi Electric Power Association filed a joint miscellaneous application seeking approval of a service area agreement allowing Mississippi Power to provide electric service to certain facilities located in East Mississippi's certificated area in Lauderdale County. Mississippi Power will provide electric service to the Compass Data Centers facilities located primarily within the certificated area of Mississippi Power, but a portion is also located in the certificated area of East Mississippi. Mississippi Power and East Mississippi agree that it's unreasonable to require East Mississippi to serve the portion of the Compass facilities located in its certificated area, as such would create and result in an uneconomical duplication of electrical facilities. On February 18th, Mississippi Power and East Mississippi entered into a confidential agreement that contains the terms and conditions in which Mississippi Power will provide service to the affected area. The agreement requires Mississippi Power to pay East Mississippi an annual fixed fee in each year in which it provides electric service to the Compass occupants situated within the affected area. Mississippi Power expects that the incremental service revenue from Compass will exceed any expenses associated with the agreement, resulting in no negative impacts on rates. Staff's reviewed the filing, issued data requests, reviewed the responses. There are no interveners. The proposed service area agreement will allow Mississippi Power to efficiently serve the Compass facilities and expand their systems in a manner that limits cost to customers and prevents duplication of facilities, which is consistent with the good public utility practice. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Ms. Myrick. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr, you recognized.
Ben may want to come up.
Ben, you're recognized.
It's not that bad, Ben. I just wanted, this is guaranteed. This is a guaranteed cash amount. This is part of the contract.
It's part of the contract, yes, sir.
Okay.
So once we start supplying service to the customer, for that, per the contract, that amount would be paid, yes, sir.
Okay, that's my only question. Guaranteed.
Yes, sir.
That's it. That was the only
That
question.
was easy, Ben. Yeah, thanks. Any more questions?
That's it.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the proposed order?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We don't have anything on the agenda for telecommunications or water, so we move on to the administrative agenda. Item number 1, discussion and possible action regarding approval of the commission minutes of the August 2025 term of the commission. Do I have a motion to approve the August minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, Ms. Dixon, you're recognized to present item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we have done is we've prepared an order seeking comments on new rules that govern pipeline safe pressure testing by school facilities. As you recall, the commission opened a rulemaking docket back in April to solicit general comments that would aid in drafting the rules. Drafting the rules was mandated by the legislature in House Bill 1186 and Mississippi Code Annotated 7711-1. After we opened the rulemaking, interested parties, a couple of gas utilities, submitted general comments. Commission legal staff reviewed those comments, conducted its own research, and met with Pipeline Safety Division to prepare a set of draft rules. Now we are at the time pursuant to the Administrative Procedures Act where we publish the proposed rule and elicit more comments from the public. So that's what we have before you to vote. The order provides interested parties 30 days to submit written comments. And this all keeps us on track time-wise. We have a deadline under the legislation to enact the rules by the end of this year, December 31st.
Thank you for that. Any questions?
This just deals with natural gas, correct?
Just natural gas is referenced in the legislation,
Yeah.
legislations and the rules.
No propane
It is not covered by the legislation or the rule,
or any mixture of any kind of propane.
not as stated in the text of the legislation or the rule.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the proposed order?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Before concluding the meeting, I would like to move to add an additional item to the administrative agenda, discussion and possible action in docket number 2024 AD 37, which is the investigation of the electric service being provided by Holly Springs Utility District. That's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Before making a motion, I would like to remind all those present and watching on the stream that at the show cause hearing on September 4th, 2025, this commission found that the city of Holly Springs to be willfully and knowingly in violation of Mississippi Code Section 77333 and Rule 4 of the Rules and Regulations Governing Public Utility Service. This finding makes the imposition of penalties lawful and appropriate. Statutory law authorizes the commission to assess fines up to and including $12,500 for these violations. Based upon the nature, duration, and extent of these violations, which the commission found to be committed by the city in rendering electric service to the public, it is necessary and appropriate to impose upon the city the maximum penalties allowable under the law. Therefore, I would now like to make a motion to impose fines totaling $12,500 against the city of Holly Springs pursuant to Mississippi Code Section 77153 and 77381, with civil penalties continuing to accrue each day after entry of the final order if violations persist. To clarify, if necessary, for every day that HSUD continues to operate its system in a manner that fails to render reasonably adequate service to its customers, the city of Holly Springs will be fined daily an amount up to and including $12,500 per day. Any questions? You recognize Commissioner Stamps.
What's the projected number of days necessary for the city of Holly Springs to get their system to a point of compliance?
In the hearing, they requested 2 years.
Could someone see what that total would presumably be?
Kyle, do you have the number?
Yeah, Commissioner, my math shows $9,125,000 would be 2 years.
Are there any recourses or other actions that could happen that the $9 million fine will not be imposed?
Yes. If they continue to violate this, then it's within our rights, obviously, to continue to impose the fine. If they sell or transfer the system, then it's up to us to levy the fine or waive the fines. Or to take, we can change that. My understanding of the commission, this commission can change the daily amount of fines based on our findings and how they progress.
So is the penalty based on them selling and transferring or them fixing the system?
I think it's both. I think that the people of that district, and we saw Thursday that that system is in a very is in a crisis mode. So I think all the above is my consideration, that we have to give relief, and I think obviously we agree, give relief to the people of that utility district and show Holly Springs that we're serious, that we have to have this fixed. And I think it's all the above. by doing this, we show them that we're very serious and we're not going to back down, and we are going to make sure that those people have the service that they deserve. But to answer your question directly, I think everything's on the table.
And the next question is, what would the penalties, once we receive them, what would they be used for?
The penalties, my understanding is that any penalties that we levy goes into the general fund of the state of Mississippi. Any other, Commissioner Carr?
So as from the point of the hearing is when the fine started to being assessed?
It'll be after this order is filed.
Okay. So we're not going to retroact. We're not going backwards.
At this point, we're not. Can we? No. Council says we can't.
Okay. That's it.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Stamps.
Is there a range in the determination of the assessment of the penalty? Does it have to be $12,500 a day, or is there a range that the penalty could be?
That's my understanding. There's a range that it could be, that we could set it anywhere from 0 to 12.5. 12.5 is the maximum.
So we're voting today for the range, but not the specific penalty.
We're voting for specific $12,500. But again, it's to our discretion at this point. Again, my understanding is it's our discretion that we can continue to levy $12,500. We can even vote to waive some of that if they show some progress, or that the people of that district start to get some relief. We can revisit those fines.
And when would the fines have to be paid?
Good question. Stephanie, you recognize?
Well, the 12,005, if that's what is imposed today. Thank you. The 12,005, if you, once you rule on that, I mean, that would become due and owing, you know, and it would be a matter of, I guess, if y'all wanted to hold it, you know, you can do that, and, you know, kind of take a bond, like a bond, essentially, you know, hold it for a period until you saw cooperation, and then it could, you know, again, you could return it if you wanted to, but, or you could set a date in there, like you wanted to, if you wanted to, we could word it however you wanted. You could either, you know, assess it today and, you know, ask it to be paid at a date in the future if you wanted, or however, you know, it's according to however you want to put it in the order.
If we don't specify, it's just obviously just hanging out there. And,
Right.
and it's being
once
accrued.
you assess it, yes, once you assess it, it will be due and owing, and then the accrual part, I think to get it to your point, Commissioner Stamps, is that, yeah, they will be accruing up to $12,500 a day, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's imposed. That would be a different assessment later that you would rule on how much that would be. Today is just the assessment of the $12,500, and then, you know, however or whenever you want to collect it would be also a part of the order that we would just include in that. But that's the part you're looking at. That it's just a function of the statute that it will continue to accrue. That's the way it's worded. The statute says that after the entry of the order, if the violations persist, that's treated every day as an individual violation. So they will just be there. That will be accruing against the city.
And to answer one of the thank you, Stephanie, by the way. To answer one of your questions, or where does the money go? Obviously, if it was eventually collected and it did go in the general fund, then we would definitely request that the legislatures reappropriate that money to HSUD in the triage and trying to fix the system. I see the look. Can we do that?
And just to be clear, I think you asked me a question earlier, kind of before we came in here. Fines that are levied against a utility cannot be included in rate base. So this cannot be passed on to their customers. Right. Okay.
It'll go to the general fund.
That's right, but also they can't take and try to like raise their rates based on a fine that y'all levy on them.
Yeah.
So how would they pay it? Because a utility only has ratepayers' money to pay a fine. So how would the fine even be paid? Where would the money come from? Property taxes?
Yeah, I think that's right. Another system purchasing it.
But
basically, you'd have to waive
but
it.
I thought the fine, correct me if I'm wrong, the fine is because of service quality. Could you read the fine for me again, the tenets to it? I don't have it in front of me. Can you read
Read the what, I'm sorry?
the penalty? It's
Oh,
because of service quality, right?
that's right. It's based upon 77-333 and Rule 4.100 of the Rules and Regulations of Public Utility Service. And those rules state that a utility has to provide reasonably adequate service. And it was a failure. Once you found that they had done that, they had violated those.
So my question is, where do they get the money to pay the fine from legally?
Their own pockets, I guess. I don't-
I mean, but honestly, if we're gonna impose a fine, my question is, where would the entity get the money to pay the fine?
I think that they would have to figure that out. They can't.
Well, it would have to come from the city.
Mhm.
So the city would have to reappropriate funds. And to our estimation, from what we've heard, there's been a series of mismanagement and misappropriation possibly of funds to not go back and reinvest in that system. So it's a hard decision that they'll have to make to start reallocating any kind of funds that the city has to go back into that system to make it reasonably adequate.
But still, so you're saying that you can use general fund revenue to pay this fine, and they cannot use electricity fund revenue to pay this fine? I'm just trying to get clarity of
That's
where
right.
would the source of funds come from?
They can't use electricity funds. They can't use those.
Okay, so they can't use electricity funds to pay the fine that the electricity department failed to provide reasonably adequate service, which is the cause of the fine.
That's right. They can't build it into the rate. They can't build it into the rate.
Okay, but the only money they get is from a rate.
That's right.
Right.
But-
So
For that.
the money would come from the
That's right.
property tax owners inside the city. And so this $12,500 per day low bar estimate, what was that number, Kyle?
A little bit over $9 million for
In
2
2
years.
years.
So this 9 million is just for 2 years. When the experts have told us that it's gonna take 10 years to get through this vegetation. So you multiply 9 million times 5, so this could potentially be a $45 million fine without putting one new light pole, without putting one new line of anything allocated to the state's general fund.
Yes, sir, Commissioner, that's what I mean, what this boils
guess-
down to is that this is the commission's statutory recourse for an entity that is violated its statutes. And so we're putting everything on the table here so that we can use everything the legislation, the statutes give us to help, I don't want to use the word coax, but to help negotiate with the city some type of reasonable, some type of good outcome for the citizens and the ratepayers of HSUD, so that there's a good outcome here. We don't want to. I think I see, and a lot of people see where you're getting at, which is we're just charging them more money that they don't have, and how are they going to fix their system? And I think what's being done here is that we're issuing a fine that's payable right now and due right now of $12,500. Every day following the entry of the order, there'll be a new violation of $12,500 that isn't due right now. And we can, at some future date, if it looks like the city's fixing things, we can waive all or a portion of those fines. And if the city's not doing what they need to do, we can keep accruing it, and all that money that goes up, it sits over their head, and it may incentivize another solution that where the city does not retain ownership of the system.
So is the goal to fix the system? The fines are because of a broken system.
Mhm.
So our penalties should be in line with fixing the system.
I agree. I think that unfortunately where those funds go, where fines, penalties go, is not set up to do that, and we have to operate within how we're set up to do by statute. And just right now, the only thing that the fines are is a punishment, is a penalty, is a deterrent, and they don't the funds that may be raised by a penalty don't necessarily go and help back. But that's outside of the scope of the commission to say what we can do with those funds. It's dictated by the statute.
So I just want to be clear, this fine is specifically about the service quality and the delivery of service, or the not providing reasonable, adequate service.
Yes, sir.
This fine is not used as a enforcement tool to force someone to devalue the system that they're trying to operate.
Correct, because the fines after today, like, are at our discretion, and if we determine, or if Holly Springs or perhaps a potential buyer determines that those fines, those penalties sitting out there that we've levied are devaluing the value of the system, then it's at the discretion of the commission to waive those so that they no longer affect the value.
So it's my understanding that the Holly Springs Utility District had a budget hearing, budget meeting yesterday, where they retained some additional counsel to help solve some problems. And they also put forth a measure, or asked them to come back in a few weeks to look at all of the Silver Point recommendations and take those recommendations and walk them through what each one of them would look like, so that they can abruptly start making some decisions about the future of their system, but do so in such a way that they are in line with state law and what their capacity levels are. And so that should show signs that they are aggressively moving forward. This meeting and these things were scheduled prior to the Thursday hearing that we had, last week up in Holly Springs. So does that not signal to this body that the entity is making the appropriate steps that are necessary to improve the system?
This problem has been decades in the making, and obviously we know that financial trials and the operational trials and the administrative trials of this utility district, I think nobody is in questioning there. And I do think that when we asked the direct question Thursday, not only to the mayor, but the manager and the alderman there, are you providing reasonably adequate service? And they all said no. Well, the people in that district obviously have been suffering under a system that has failed them for decades. So although we appreciate their moving to try to rectify this, that's exactly why this penalty is being levied, is to try to make sure that they understand that not providing reasonably adequate service is not going to be tolerated by this body. And anything less than the maximum would indicate that we're not serious about this. I do think that we as a body owe it to the people of that district to do everything within our power. Holly Springs has had over 20 plus years. They've been in total control of that system for decades. They got us here. We had nothing to do with the condition of this system. So it's up to us to finally say, once and for all, we hear you, we understand your suffering, and we're going to do something about it. And I do think that what we saw and how they've neglected that system and how they've not responded to the people of that district justifies more than $12,500 a day. That's the most we can do. And I do think that we need to get their attention. They do need to start providing reasonably adequate service. And this is just another step to try to encourage them and let them know that we're not playing anymore. We want to see that area grow every month, every day, every year that is in action, which we've seen for over 2 decades. That community has suffered, both economically, personally, and on every single level that we can measure in human suffering. It's that serious. And I understand that this is a new administration. I understand that. But they have over millions and millions and millions of dollars in debt that they have not paid. They have not maintained the system. The system needs millions and millions and millions of dollars of repair and maintenance. And they've had over $400,000+ for 3 years that you and I helped appropriate. That is still sitting in the bank account, and they still have not appropriated those funds to help triage that system in over, I think it's 3 years now. So the people of the community told us this. The time is over for talk. And I think that's what we're hearing, again, is more talk. Is it honest? Yes. I believe that some of what the city's saying is a legitimate, they think in there that they're going to solve this fairly quickly. There's no reasonable expectation for us to think that they will. We hope they do. And I think our job is not to make sure that system fails. Our job is to make sure that system is robust and providing reasonably adequate service so that area can thrive like the neighboring counties. And not to belabor the point, but Holly Springs Utility District is on a major thoroughfare, I-22. There's economic development going on all around that area, but there's not any going on in that district to speak of. Is a multi-million-dollar company going to come into a utility district that can't guarantee the power will be on all day on a blue sky day? No. They're not going to invest millions and millions of dollars in those communities based on the fact that they can't run their business. We had businesses actually testify to us that after the meeting, I don't think it was open, that they had a business in that district for 15, 20 years. When the power goes down, they have to let all the employees go home. They can't pay them. Well, they lose all their employees because they can't get 40 hours a week because they can't guarantee them that they'll have 40 hours a week worth of power. That is here in Mississippi. And I think that's why it rises to the level of the highest fines that we can levy on this utility district, because what has happened in that utility district is tragic, and it's a crisis. And I get what you're saying, Commissioner Stamps, that we don't want to pile on in a bad situation. But again, that the city itself is controlling that whole system. The people outside of the county have no vote. They cannot change their lot. They cannot change the governance of the city. They cannot change the direction of that utility district. They're powerless. And it's one of 3 in the state that are set up that way, just so the people that are listening understand. Most electric co-ops, you vote and you have a member on that co-op, and you have representation on that co-op board. Those 70% plus in the HSUD outside of the city limits have zero voice in the direction of this utility district. Zero. They've been screaming for years, please help us, please help us, please help us. It's fallen on deaf ears. Sorry, we can't do anything. Sorry, we're gonna give them another chance. Sorry, it's gonna be another decade of suffering and decreased property values and no economic development. It's not right. It's not right. Why a city would do that? We can't answer that question. I don't think any of us had any clarification on why a city would allow a utility district like this, which should be an asset, to go into a complete disrepair and to where it's a liability for the community itself, because it's a liability if you can't get people to come into your community, invest in your community, people aren't building in your community. That's a huge liability to everybody there. Why would a city allow that to happen with decades of abuse? We don't have the answer to that. I have no clue. I'm still perplexed. I go over the numbers and I look at it and I was like, how in the world could this have happened? But I do know that it's in action, and you said it before, Commissioner, I appreciate it, that it's hard to lead. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to lead. It's also uncomfortable to be penalized for not leading. And I think that's where we're at in HSUD, is that they have not led, or they led in such a way that caused this system to be a liability to not only the city of Holly Springs, but to the people of that community and to the state of Mississippi. That's why the fines are to the maximum that we can levy.
So I don't know if it's my last question, but this question is, are we going to get are we going to be as serious to every, are we going to govern the same way across the board as a commission?
Yes, we take, I think, personally, I can't speak for Commissioner Carr, but we take our charge very seriously. The people of Mississippi deserve reasonably adequate service. And I think we're committed to that. And I know you are, I know I am, and I know Commissioner, I won't speak for Commissioner Carr, but
I am.
I know he is as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
It's been too long. Our citizens deserve better. You were asked about where the money's coming from. Let's think about where the citizen pays his money. The question that he may be asking, where's my money going? What are they doing with it? They sat back and watched ILO for decades. And they've been asking the same question. Where's our money going? What's it being used for? I've heard them. They've called my office. I've heard them. And I hear them everywhere. Our citizens in our state deserve better. When we look at some of the comments that was in the stuff that we passed today, reliability. That's the key component of why our state is on the map. And for these bad actors that are not doing what they're supposed to do, if they're not going to lead, get out of the way. Let someone else lead. That's what a true leader does. If he can't take it and he can't do it, he needs to get out of the way. We're here now. We've been elected to lead, and I'm not backing up. I hear those folks. I cannot imagine what they've been going through on a clear blue sky day and the lights goes off. I can't imagine what the hospital administrators must go through at times, or the nursing home people, or the daycares, or the school system itself. There's many facets to this, and they have failed in every facet. Every facet. I have sympathy for them, but that's all I can have for that leadership in the past. They have failed their citizens. If we fail, I would ask that someone come up here and tell us you're failing, and we'll straighten it out. I'm accountable to y'all. Everyone in this room and everybody's watching. I'm accountable. My heart hurts for those folks. And I'm not concerned about where they get the money from. I'm concerned about where the money went. That's my concern. They need to go find those new elected officials, as Commissioner Stamps. Y'all were elected. Now it's time for y'all to figure it out. They need to figure it out. It's not up to us. Our job is to make sure they do figure it out. They need to give us a plan. They came there to that meeting with no plan. I didn't hear once say, hey, here's our plan. I didn't hear it. It's sad. I mean, we battle with all utilities. We call them out. Let it be known that we're watching. And we're going to call you out. At least I shall. I'm not putting up with it anymore. It's sad.
Thank you, gentlemen. I do echo what my colleague said, that we take our job seriously, and not saying anybody else doesn't, but we know that what we do impacts a lot of people's lives daily. And that's a heavy burden to know that we're moving in a way to try to make Mississippi better, and that's everybody. Everybody. A rising tide raises all boats. And so we want to do everything we can to make tomorrow brighter than yesterday, and the future even better than what it could have been. So I'm very honored to serve with my colleagues, and I look forward to trying to not be punitive with this, as even as bad as HSUD is. We're not trying to be we're not trying to pile on, but this just shows how serious and how bad the situation is up there, and how serious we are about finding a solution to this crisis. So, people of Holly Springs, we heard you. We're going to continue to stay the course until we have a resolution. And to echo what my colleague said, others in the state that are going through issues, we hear you as well. Any other questions or comments?
Well, you know, I do appreciate your dedication to this. I've seen your work over the years. You started off before you were even a commissioner, having hearings there under leadership of former Speaker Gunn, and just the evolution of this whole Holly Springs journey to be where we are. And it's definitely been a lot of hard work on your behalf. And I look forward to continuing to work towards making all the systems in Mississippi accountable and reliable to the folks that pay the bill that may not have any say-so in their endeavors. And you know, I just look at this as a situation where you are more, you know, it's your district. It's but it affects our neighbors.
That's correct.
So in the spirit of brotherhood, when it comes to Commissioner Carr's district, when it's something that's, you know, he's passionate about, you know, it's his district, you know, let's lean towards, you know, same thing with you and same thing with me, hopefully, as we move forward.
And we commit to that. And I do appreciate y'all. I know we're going a little long on this, but I commend my colleagues. We actually went to Holly Springs on numerous occasions to hear from the people and prepare for this hearing that we had last Thursday. Commissioners Carr and Stamps came up to hear from ratepayers. We wanted to be as well versed and make sure that people know that we are a team, and we are. I think one of my colleagues actually said we don't agree all the time, but we probably agree with each other more than we do with our spouses, and we go home with them every night. So I think that was yours. So, it's true. So we're not always going to agree, but I do think that we're all after one goal, and that's to make a better Mississippi for everybody out there. And so we're going to keep on, and I appreciate my colleagues supporting me in this effort in Holly Springs and coming up and attending those meetings and hearing from the constituents there. And we're moving forward with a unified voice and unanimously to try to make a difference there and all across the state. And to answer your question, yes, sir, if it's in your district, we're going to help you. Same thing with Commissioner Carr. I'm going to help. And that's how we make a better Mississippi, is working together, not against one another. So thank you, gentlemen. So that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the commission? Commissioner Stamps.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over years, we've had several issues with Entergy Mississippi. A few weeks ago, Entergy Mississippi's infrastructure failed on Highway 18, and the highway was shut down for about 8 hours. The transformers fell off the pole and caught fire. That's how weak and disinvested the system is right on the state highway. Then yesterday, there was a major incident yesterday. In Vicksburg, the power downtown in the restaurants shut down on several instances. In Jackson, and Madison County, Rankin County, several areas across the Entergy service area. If you look at these areas and look at the outages, while we were doing the research work, we didn't know if we were looking at Holly Springs or if we were looking at Entergy because of the unreliable service and the disinvestment and the condition of the grid, just the sheer vegetation and condition of the grid. We've had we've had town hall meetings, we've had several of those informative kind of situations, and I would ask that my colleagues support me in a hearing to hear from our constituents in the Central District about the condition of the Entergy service area. I don't get any calls about Mississippi Power. Nobody calls me. But 92% of the phone calls that come into my office are about Entergy, Mississippi. And I would ask that my colleagues join me, even if it's before the Power Grid Summit, because this is a deep conversation, and it's affecting the economy of the state. When you shut down commerce unexpectedly as many times as Entergy Mississippi's unreliable grid has, it definitely is time for review, and I look forward to this commission taking swift and definitive action, just like against Holly Springs.
Thank you, Commissioner Stamps.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
You know, we focus, as a country, we're looking at these data centers, we're looking at transmission projects. But the number one thing, this was back probably 2021. I had a conversation with my son, and he said, Daddy, we're looking too far on transmission. We're focusing too far out in advance. Not that transmissions are not very important. He said, but we're taking an eye off on distribution.
That's right.
And that's where we're at. That's what Commissioner Stamp's talking about. That's coming from the highway of the transmission line, bringing it to your house or bringing it to your business. And that's where the economics is at that house meter. And that's what we need to focus on. I'm with you.
I think all of it is part of a quality of life, and I appreciate you bringing up those concerns, and I look forward to having those open discussions and hearings moving forward. So again, we're focused on the bettering the quality of life of Mississippians, and we'll join you in your effort. Same thing with Commissioner Carr, and I'm honored to serve with y'all. So thank y'all very much. So we'll continue pushing forward as a team, and again, make Mississippi have a even brighter future than together than separately. But I do also, with that said, the last thing I'll mention is we do have an upcoming Power Grid Summit, which is along these lines. So everything we're talking about, Commissioner Carr, you're right. We need to invest in infrastructure in the grid and try to make sure that the delivery of the generation is reliable and resilient to the end user, not only to industrial development, but also to, more importantly, to our citizens and the quality of life that they should enjoy. So we welcome everybody to join us Thursday, September 25th, here at the Woolfolk Building. We'll be here from 9 a.m. to 4:30, and we'll be talking about just this, the power grid, and the condition it's in and how we move forward as a state to make sure that, again, we're stronger in the future and that we're ready to have even a better quality of life for the people of the state of Mississippi. So thank y'all very much. Any other questions?
Good.
Okay, hearing none, we stand adjourned.